That was at a thrift store.
Exactly. Go to a thrift store and find the bar stools.
We're not going to find matching bar stools at a thrift store.
You know what? Sometimes you just gotta do it yourself, I guess. Gosh. Bless it.
Well, I don't remember the task of being assigned
probably drunk.
to me. Well, there's a good possibility of that too.
We are, as we record this, less than 2 weeks away from November 5th.
You know what other big day is November 5th?
What?
My birthday.
That's right.
Yay! So it's not all doom and gloom.
All three of us
Yeah.
are November birthdays.
Yeah.
So I think we should just take off, take off our day, each day. You got to take off a day for your birthday, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that how it goes? I'm not taking off a day for my birthday.
No, I probably
Unless
wouldn't
it's on
either.
a Saturday or Sunday.
What does the 5th fall on?
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Election day.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm not sure how it works with stuff being open and closed on your birthday. I can't remember. Do the banks close on Election Day?
I don't know.
I mean, I know government's closed, but I don't know if that affects the bank. I don't know if the banks are actually closed. Or
I don't
whatever.
know.
So it's not your real job holiday.
No. Sometimes I take it as one because it is.
It is a big
it should be a
deal.
national holiday.
Election night. Will you be bartending or no?
As of right now, no, but as I remember, like years past, it's a good night to bartend.
Yeah. Everybody's out and about.
We were just talking to someone about some ad stuff, and it was one of the local bars, and they talked about having an event on the 5th, and I said, that's perfect.
Yeah.
I'm just like, that's great. That's what you ought to do. That's so. But yeah, I think that what our plan is, we are going to do a show that evening. Probably start at late, like 9:30 after local polls have closed, and just talk to a few people and get some of the local results. Now, quite frankly, it's pretty anticlimactic around here. There's just not a lot going on.
Yeah.
Ballot-wise, couple county board races maybe. Todd Eiler doesn't have an opponent. Kyle Moore doesn't have an opponent. We've got the Senate race and the governor's races in Missouri. Congressional races around here are contested. And then, of course, we got the big national one. So we will come on and just do a little chitty chat for probably an hour, like 9 to 10 on election night, and then sign off and turn it over to our friends at the networks and local newses and whatever. Because I have a sneaking suspicion that by 10 o'clock at night we won't know who the winner of the national election is. We might not know who the winner of the national election is for like 2 weeks.
Really?
How shit goes.
Yeah.
How's it been lately where it's like,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter because ain't nobody going to declare one way or the other that night regardless. They're all going to say, I won or I didn't win or it's too, you know how it's going to go. It's not going to be good. So, but
It's not.
It's just going to be. And no matter whose side you're on, no matter who you're voting for, it's going to be a shit show. And because I just think that's where we are, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So
I talked to someone the other day about it, and he seems to believe that, November 5th is the day that starts our Civil War. I
why don't we go that far?
Well, I hear a lot of people, I mentioned that to somebody else, and the other person I mentioned to, he goes, Brittany, I've been alive for a long time. I've seen a lot of elections, and every single time that statement is made.
Really?
But I don't know. I kind of think it's in its truest form right now. I know it's extreme.
Well, it's also.
But has it ever been this
divided?
Yeah.
Well, we did have that little war in the 1860s, so yeah.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
The Civil War itself, the real Civil War, the first one, and some people would say that this might have started on January 6th of 2021 that it started.
Maybe some people say it started in March of 2020 when you locked us up.
Yeah.
Who locked who up?
I don't know. Like the government.
The feds. Who was the president at that time? Let's remember that too, because at that time the feds, everybody was like, all okay, lock yourselves up, don't talk to anybody, don't touch anybody, don't breathe. Hey, if you're gonna play golf, wear a mask, or play baseball, wear a mask. No, it's outside. Why would I wear a mask?
Yeah.
It was all so dumb, and they all know it was dumb. And I hope that we can get to a point where we just don't have this
Civil War?
rancor, maybe.
Yeah.
We were talking a little while ago, and when people like look at us and whatever and how we're trying. We run all these opinion pieces. We run all these letters to the editor. I got a call today about Josh. Senator Hawley was in Hannibal the other day, and we covered it. And somebody said that was a very one-sided piece, or that was a very one-sided editorial, or whatever. And it's like, well, no, the story was very objective, and the story's laid everything out. But yes, editorials and letters to the editor are opinion pieces. Well, I didn't know you took those, and I'm like, yeah, Google us. We run probably 2 to 3 letters to the editor a week now. It's really becoming a thing. So it's like I said, feel free. Hey, news@muddyrivernews.com. Send it. We'll run it. As long as you're not being stupid by, hate speech, slander, calling, libel.
And you have a good
that.
point to make, because we do get a lot of them, and it has to be like a...
Sure.
Which should be relevant and tactful.
But for, some people to say one way that we're we really do just try to call balls and strikes. Yes, I have my own opinions and stuff, and I'll say them here or whatever. But when it comes to news...
When you say them here, you mean on Club.
Yeah, on Club Muddy. Or, sometimes, it's usually this format. It's usually not any other format yet. So, but I think that when you look at what we write, and if I'm going to write an opinion piece, I'm going to write an opinion piece, and it's going to be my opinion, and it's going to clearly say Bob's opinion. That's kind of how it works. But if I'm just covering something, I just want to call balls and strikes. I just want to tell it like it is and how I see it, and you can disagree or agree. That's great. That's what it's all about. But, and I do feel good when some people call me a liberal, or then the other people are calling me a conservative. It's like, well, which is it? So that's good. I think that's good. And I think it's good that we don't get pigeonholed in that sort of thing. We when we started this, we made it very clear that we did not want to be partisan. We did not want to, and people were like, when we first started, there were people who were saying, "Oh my God, thank God you're going to be," and I'm like, no, we're not. It's not going to be that way. We're going to call balls and strikes, which is what we do. So, and again, I think that it's just when you have been doing this for as long as I've been doing it, since I'm notably younger than both of you, that people are going to just look at you and they're not going to understand that sometimes people's points do evolve. Sometimes you are locked in on something and it's what you believe, and there's nothing going to change your mind. But I think there's always room for growth. I think there's always room for people to, if they are presented with a set of facts that sways their opinion, that's possible. And I don't think it's being wishy-washy. I think it's like, well, I think this is how this should be. And I think circumstances can change, because none of us are the same person we were 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Or 25 years ago. And, I like doing this with you guys because we all speak freely and we all have our own diverse opinions. And we are going to agree on a lot of things, and we're going to disagree on some things. But at the end of the day, we all walk away. We're friends, we're colleagues, we're coworkers. And that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
And that's the way it used to be. That's the way it used to be in government, where people could all argue and shake their fists and pound their hand on the fists on the table and all that, and then they'd go have a drink.
Yeah.
And hammer it out. Can we do that anymore?
I think it's harder because there's more. I don't want to say there's more at stake, but it does seem like there's more at stake. It seems getting out of hand. And when I'm saying things out of hand, it seems like things are getting more dangerous, and I'm not just talking with certain policies, but things are getting more dangerous. Things are getting more expensive. Things are getting harder to attain, meaning like the American dream. There are things that are getting people more fired up because it seems to be like it's more noticeable and more kind of important, especially to the people who are brought up to have really strong convictions. So, in my house, we talked about those things. And now that I'm of an age where I have to worry about that kind of stuff for my kids, I feel like it is really important, and I have to have those convictions. And when you see nonsensical stuff being said on both sides or even down the middle, you feel like you got to speak up. That combined with social media, combined with lack of actual facts, combined with, just people yearning for some kind of truth and unity, everybody's going about it the way they know how. It seems to be the wrong way. But it's like, I don't know how to button that up into like a pretty saying, but yeah.
I was going to ask you and talk to you about this, because you're obviously, you do so much on social media and stuff, I think that's obviously the culprit. Back when we were all, well, you guys were old enough, you had cable when you were little, but I mean, when I was like, I had cable in my house in Perry, Missouri till like 1985. So I had 3 channels, and the ABC was fuzzy when I tried to watch Monday Night Football. But you've grown up in this age of having cable, and then, of course, social media. Do you think that's the culprit?
Well, I mean, I didn't. Social media for me didn't start until my daughter was born.
Really?
Yeah, I was the anti-Facebook. Everyone had it. And
MySpace?
I did MySpace.
Yeah, but it was
I
different.
never had a MySpace page.
Really?
But
MySpace
yeah.
was different, though, because it was you just picked your song and you followed people's pictures
and you picked
your top
favorite
10.
friends. You ranked your friends openly to
Did
the
you?
internet.
Yeah.
Boy, I'm glad I
it was
didn't do
horrible. But yeah, I feel like I grew with it too. I've seen the change from going to cable to dial-up internet to now I have everyone's thoughts on everything at my phone.
Yeah.
And a big thing that I think that we see more and more of, this is kind of weird that I've noticed. So you have the red and the blue. The red always said that the blue is the cause of cancel culture. If you don't see things my way, you're canceled.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing more and more with an election like this. You've got some people on the red, like seeking out people, individuals. If they are a blue supporter, they look up their address, they look up where they work and like what they do. And there are people out there locally trying to cancel local businesses in the name of
Politics.
I guess, but that would be cancel culture.
Cancel culture is bipartisan. Both sides do it, and anybody that says they don't, they're liars.
I agree, but like it was very, I feel like it was like I don't know. It's just kind of funny that you have red people doing this in the name of this.
I think I want to be careful saying red. It's the extremists on both sides.
Okay, yeah.
Because you want to be careful.
When I'm saying colors, I'm saying extremists.
It's 60 extremists. So social media definitely plays a part, and I don't want to dog on social media because I do think there are some good things about it too. Of course, Muddy River News being one of them. But it used to be you would go do Dixie Cream Donuts and sit with people in your fart chamber and talk about things because you didn't, you would go and discuss.
Farting in Dixie Cream, that's disgusting.
Well, yeah. But you would sit at that little counter and you would talk to people, and 9 times out of 10, they were like-minded because you're from the same community. You have the same things, right?
Coffee shops and bars.
Right. So now you have a diverse look, from different perspectives in the same small town, even in the same room. Where it used to be that, if you lived in Quincy, 9 times out of 10, you probably had a lot of the same views because you were all dealing with kind of the same problems. Now it's almost like the problems that are outside of our community are influencing people in our community, which isn't a bad thing. But when you can't talk about it freely and civilly, that is an issue.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's kind of what social media has done negatively is it influences in a way that you don't have to sit face to face with someone to say what's on your mind, meaning you're not always respectful, right? But also it's brought in all of these problems that may not necessarily be your problem, and it's making it your problem now.
But you brought up a good point earlier when you just talk about stuff costing more, which is obviously the big driver, and the economy is a big driver.
Right.
But aside from that, shit costs more. But aside from that, you would think if you listen to one side or the other that we live in this dystopian hellhole, and we really don't. There's more good than bad, right? I don't know. I know people who have it rough. I know people who are going through tragedy right now. I have dear friends of mine who've recently passed. I get that.
Right.
But aside from just, hey, we live in Quincy, Illinois, and it's not so bad. But there's people out there who are like, oh my God, the world's going to fall to an end. Yeah. And there are people on both sides who believe come November 6th, the world will end if that other person wins.
Right. Well, I think that's kind of it exacerbates, it magnifies everything. Social media, news sources that are, that have agendas that they're pushing. I mean, it is exacerbated. And that's what I mean. It used to be, people would watch the news, but they would pay attention to their own garden. And they would be like, oh, it's Quincy. We can still go have our coffee. We can still afford to do this. We can still afford to do that. Now you're looking at, the world, and it's so close to home that you're trying to solve all these problems by an election when really I think if you focused on your own backyard and, the good things, focused on the good things and didn't, look at the world like the sky is falling. But then again, on the other side, some people may think the sky is falling, because if you look at the progression of the shit that's been happening, it seems like it's happened really quickly. And it's all seems to be in the name of politics and divisiveness and agendas and special interest groups. And, it just doesn't seem like we're using our power in the right ways.
Use your powers for good, not evil.
Right? And I don't know how many people I hear, especially like you, it was so much better in the good old days. You hear that. Oh, yes, you do.
No, I don't. What good old days are we talking about here?
When there was no social media, or when you were riding your bikes around, like it was safe to ride your bikes around. It was
I've
this,
never
this,
been
and
that
this.
guy. The social media part, I'm like, no. The outside, no.
I think there's good and bad to both sides. I mean, I miss when I could go outside and hang out with my kids, and not that I can't today, but it is different letting my kids roam around. But I don't know if that's because of the state of the world or the state of drug use, or you know what I mean? Like there's things
I think
in
that's
this
part of it.
Yeah, it all just seems to be that we have gotten in our own heads, whether it's through social media, whether it's through news, whether it's, people are getting killed here and there and everywhere. It's happened forever, as long as, man has existed. But
it is exposed more now.
It's exposed now. People pay attention to it. I also do think that people die on certain hills that really they don't really need to.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, is that really affecting your home life today? Mm-hmm. And by focusing on that and creating, stating your point, which I think you should be able to, of course, at all time. Is it really that important? Is it really making a change? What are we changing? What are we doing? And by arguing with people and trying to change people's opinions, which if I've learned anything at all, is you just can't.
Or ruining their local business.
Yeah, I just don't know that that's...
Or attempting to. I don't think that many people would follow suit with that. I think as Quincyans, we hope see
we don't
this.
agree with that. Yeah.
No. Why?
I mean,
no.
By all means, if that's your prerogative and you want to expose what you think you're exposing and you're trying to influence people, by all means do it. But I think if you want to make positive change, there are a lot better ways to do it. And I don't think that using politics to divide further is the way to do it.
Or destroy local economy.
Yeah. I just don't think that... I think there's so many different approaches that we could all take. And, social media can be a good thing. It can. But we just have to use it differently.
But again, I want to stress this a little bit. That one more time is the fact that, Muddy River News' policy is that we use social media for promotion of our website.
Yeah.
That's it. So we will, we'll get comments or whatever. That's everything we do that's on the website. If you have an issue with us that you want to seriously talk about, reach us through the email. Yeah, if it's a Facebook message, it is important. We will look at it and we'll talk. We'll talk to you about it if you have a legitimate concern. But still, that is not
use
official.
The proper channels.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
like we talked about the other day.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is you guys said that. Yeah, you guys did say it on Coffee Talk Show. But this is the official, the website, my phone, the email. That's the official channels to air your grievances, I guess.
Yeah, but you have to reach out because we can't read minds.
I had this the other day with somebody.
Oh.
What? What are you talking about?
That was going to be the segue.
That was the best segue ever.
No, I'm kidding. Keep going. I'll say it again when you're done.
No, because we had someone on this week, and then somebody said, well, what about this event? And I'm like, well, let us know. Well, you call so-and-so. I'm like, no, I don't. If they want their event publicized, you call me. We'll take care of it. I'm not, if I had to reach out to everybody, are you going to have an event? I'm doing that for 24 hours a day.
Yeah. You'd be a busy fella.
No. I can't read people's minds.
Oh, unlike our guest who's coming up, very captivating, very intriguing. Can't wait to talk to her.
We'll be right back.
That was good.
The Liquor Booth is your home for a huge selection of beer, wine, and spirits. The Liquor Booth has 2 locations in Quincy, 3520 Broadway and 1500 North 12th Street. The Liquor Booth, where it's always happy hour.
Cheers again, cheers. Okay. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go.
Here we go.
Brittany Buckwalter, welcome back.
Hello, hello.
Hello. So I had the pleasure of interviewing Brittany on a Daily Muddy. Was it last week? I think it was last week.
Yeah.
And when you came in, we were talking about you have an event coming up.
Yes, ma'am.
And so this airs on Friday. It's actually this evening. If you don't have your tickets, make sure you get them. Are they still available?
They are,
Okay.
yep.
How do people get them?
Eventbrite.com. Just search up my name, Brittany Buckwalter. You can go to my Facebook page. There's, of course, 2 events on there, actually. And you can purchase tickets on there.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And it's a masquerade costume / mediumship
Event. Yeah. You don't have to dress up masquerade-wise. You don't have to dress up at all. But we do have some pretty cool contest giveaways for the winner.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's going to be a very eventful night, I'm sure. But
Where's it going to be held?
State Street Theater.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when she came on, we were solely going to talk about that event, and the events that happened after our interview led to her coming on to Club because, so when she came in, I didn't think I was closed off to the art or, the gift of mediumship. But in speaking to her and speaking to Brittany, she said that you were definitely closed off when I came in. And then when she left, it was a totally different story because the events that happened after our interview concluded blew my mind. We'll say that. Aspen was here. I was here. We both got very emotional because of some things that Brittany said. And Brittany is a medium and a psychic. Is that right?
Yes.
And we will get into the differences of those in just a second. But she read some things about me that I don't think you could ever conclude by any amount of research.
Yeah, it's so funny because so many times people will come up and they'll ask the other people in the audience, were you planted? Which I didn't even realize was a thing.
Yeah.
Like that, I guess some people could do that. Some mediums could, but they're like, there is no way that you could have brought this up. And I first want to say, I don't take responsibility for that. That is 100% your loved ones in spirit. So I'm just the messenger. But yeah, it's that type of information. And that's what sets me aside from other mediums is the evidential part in front of it. And I'm a real stickler about that. Like, I want that evidence. And a lot of times it's easier said than done. Sometimes you don't know the evidence. You don't know everything about the person. But yeah, it's with your grandmother, it was very clear, and she made my life very easy.
Yeah. So if anybody knew my grandmother, who was an amazing soul, but also very intimidating, very sassy, very saucy.
Wonder where you got it from.
Right? I know. So, yeah, it is a very strong thread throughout all of our maternal lineage. But Brittany connected with my grandmother and basically was saying that she was very intimidating and asking questions to kind of connect the dots there. And it's not that I've ever been a cynic about things, but without talking to someone with your gift, it was easy to kind of ignore it, right? Because it's not something you come across every day. So, of course, we're talking about mediumship and connecting with the other side, I think, but I want to get into more of that as well. But that's why we had Brittany come back to Muddy River News on Club Muddy, because we want to get into
the nitty-gritty.
The nitty-gritty of mediumship and psychic abilities. And our job tonight is not to convince anyone
That's right.
that it's real, but we want to inform and educate on what it looks like for Brittany and how you can get involved, right?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where we all stand.
And with saying that, I just want to, again, tell you how grateful I am. My, the light in me recognizes the light in both of you for allowing me to bring information about mediumship and psychic science to the media, because a big part of why people are so scared of it is because they're completely misinformed.
Yeah.
And so you guys are literally earth angels in that you're allowing me to bring this information to your viewers and allowing them to form their own opinion. So bless you. Thank you.
Well, I don't know if I've ever been called an angel.
Hey, Bob.
Yeah.
Bob, did you hear that we are earth angels?
I want that on my stocking,
Yeah.
Angel Ashley.
Some angels are naughty.
Yeah, but that one's me. Okay. So anyway, Brittany, let's go back because during the daily we touched on kind of your journey to today and how you got into how you developed your mediumship or your psychic abilities and what it looked like for you.
Yeah. So, it started when I was 4, and I had some really crazy experiences just with seeing spirit in general. And then, and these experiences weren't mine alone. They involved my mother and my aunt, who were, I can't say that they were skeptical by any means, but at that young of an age, your ego isn't formed yet. And so when you bring up things like, who's the guy in the corner, and, your mom and aunt just saw this spirit and they were thinking this is so weird, and they didn't discuss it with me at all because they didn't want to scare us kids. And then I'm bringing it up. They're like, what?
Holy shit.
But I think that those experiences were planted in my life at an early age in order to prepare me for who I am today and what I do. And I'll tell you why, because I'm not cynical by any means, but highly skeptical in the beginning. So, I had those memories and I just couldn't explain them. And I never forgot them, but I also didn't ponder on them. And I always had a sense or a feeling that I was different, which, I don't feel like I'm any different from anybody else, because I truly feel like everybody has my ability.
Really?
Like, this is not a gift. This is a God-given ability to keep you safe and to help you heal. Yes, absolutely. And, just like when we can all sing, right? But you don't want to hear all of us sing.
Yeah.
We were all given the ability to go up on stage or put a microphone in our hand and make music with our voice. Some of us suck. But
Just the angel raising her hand. She
Yes.
sucks. Yeah.
but you can still do it.
Good way
Yeah.
to describe it.
And for me, it's just, this natural ability, just like with an athlete or, someone that's good at chess or mind game. I don't know, like, anybody that has
More of like a honed talent.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think where it resides is in being open to it. But I do have to tell you, I wasn't open to it.
So then what brought you to being more open to it? Do you equate it to kind of an intuition that you grow, or how?
Well, I just thought, as a little kid, you watch all these witchy shows, and you think it's this, this power or this, incredible light that beams down on you, and your fingers shoot light or something. And also because I was raised Lutheran, I was terrified of anything to do with any of this stuff. And so those two things made me feel like, A, it wasn't realistic, although I did still feel weird, and I did still hold on to the memories of seeing spirit that I couldn't explain. I felt like, A, it wasn't realistic, B, and this is the worst, which breaks my heart, but I was so concerned about what other people thought that I wouldn't even allow my mind to explore the opportunity or option or I wouldn't even go there. And then 3, it was like I thought that it had to be this really crazy magical thing, and it's so subtle. Yeah. I mean, everybody in this room right now has done exactly what I do. Everybody. And I'm talking mediumship and psychic science, psychic ability. I guarantee it.
Really?
Yeah, because it's so subtle. You don't even know. This is what you do. You go, well, that was weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so there came a point at one point in time where I had started my salon, and every time somebody would sit in my chair, I'd put my hands in their hair or touch their body or whatever, and I would get this vision of, oh my God, this person's having an affair, or oh my God, this woman is pregnant, and it's going to be a boy or whatever. And then these clients would come back, like a month or 2 months later for their touch-ups or whatever, and then I would find out, oh, I'm leaving my husband because he caught me cheating, or I'm pregnant with a little girl.
Oh, wow.
Like, and it just got to a point where it's like, what?
Yeah. Too many signs to ignore.
And I mean, along the line, over the years as a little kid, things like that happened all the time. But I don't know. I guess you just don't have the awareness or
maybe you don't have the ability to go to circle back and confirm. Right? Because it may just be like you think it's so coincidental, or, just things are kind of more haphazard. And today, your brain, especially as an adult, you're looking for ways to connect the dots. I think,
100%.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I don't want to ask all the questions.
I have a couple from what you just said, though. So you keep saying spirit. Is there a difference between spirit and ghosts? Is it just
That's a
words?
really good question. So spirit to me is a more respectful way to refer to just our energy that is transitioned. Ghost to me gives this Halloween vibe, this hunting vibe, there really is no difference.
Okay.
Did you ever see that commercial where they're like, it was like, what was it? I don't know if it was a Kit Kat commercial or something where she was like, that's like calling me a ghost and me a spirit. I don't know.
No.
It was really
No, but now I'm going to have to Google for sure.
Okay, and also you said something about your mother and your grandmother. Did they, like, you saw spirit when you were 4, and they saw it too, or
Yeah,
so it runs in the family?
No, well, I don't know. A lot of people say that it can be a genetic trait. I think that there would be no difference in saying it can be genetic, as in two people, like a dad and a daughter sing really well. You know what I mean,
Right.
or whatever.
Yeah.
So I guess that's totally possible. I wrote a book called Brave, and in the beginning it talks about this exact scenario. But what had happened was my mom and her sister went out for the evening to have some drinks, well-deserved. And I was at home with my grandma, and so was my brother. And on their way home, they thought they hit somebody. Like
with their car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They saw that a jacket fly up over the windshield. They pulled over. They're looking around like, oh my God.
Together they had this vision. Yeah.
Right. Well, I don't even know if I want to call it a vision, because it was so real to them.
Sure.
And so there was no dude, nothing. And later that evening, Mom comes home, and it was like Christmas Eve or something. And my mom, my brother, and I were all snuggled up on this couch. And Mom and my little brother were asleep, and I was looking at the Christmas tree. And all of a sudden, and I was coming in and out of sleep, but all of a sudden, this really tall man with a black hat and a long black coat appeared in front of the Christmas tree, and he was just looking at me. And I was both terrified and completely comforted. I don't know how to explain it. It was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was just really, really strange. And so I tapped my mom's leg, and I'm like, Mommy, who's the tall man with the long dark coat and the hat? And I could feel my mom's energy just
shift.
I felt like her soul jumped out of her body.
Yeah.
And she was like, don't move. I get goosebumps. I don't know if you could see my goosebumps, but every time I tell this story, and that was it. I went back to sleep, and he was gone. But the next morning, I could hear my mom frantic in the kitchen on the phone with my aunt. She described him exactly how we saw it, and blah, blah, blah. And so I'll never forget that. And so that was my first experience of spirit, and I guess that would make it to where they can see too. My aunt has had several experiences, and she doesn't talk about it.
Do you share stories? So then after this happened, did you have conversations following up that experience with your mom and your
No, we
aunt?
never talked about it.
No.
Until I was older.
Yeah.
And then of course I brought it up, and I'm like, do you remember this? And they're both like, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, never. Yeah, 100%. And there was a couple other times that I saw spirit too, and it was with my aunt as well. And she's had situations that she, can't necessarily explain. And so to say it's genetic, I think that would be a healthy assumption. Yeah.
Do you have any people in your family that are skeptics or critics?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Let's
leave it at that.
Okay, so
I
let's
was just
establish
wondering
the difference between a skeptic and a cynic, because I think that's really important. When you're talking about, being skeptical about something, as in mediumship or psychic abilities, that's not saying that you are. Tell me the difference.
Yeah. Okay. So cynical is basically just, and I describe it as this. I'm holding up a purple piece of paper, and the person is looking at me saying, no, that's white, even though they know that it's not.
Right.
They don't care, because in their mind, nothing will change. Nothing, absolutely nothing. So, cynicism is brought a lot into like politics and things like that, because you're so deeply rooted in your beliefs that even proper education cannot change your thought
Right.
on what it is. And then skepticism, which I think is incredibly healthy. We've had that discussion earlier. That's just, I'm going to wait until I feel like I align with this, until this makes sense to me. It's not this doesn't exist. It's not it can't be possible. It's either educate me or I need the experience.
It's a healthy curiosity.
Yes,
which
absolutely.
you should have about. So you mentioned this earlier, which I think is really important to note.
Yeah, I always say you should be skeptical about everything, from the lawyer that you hire to the doctor that you go see. I mean, until you've been proven that you can trust them, or that your experience is validated by your own intuition or feelings, you know, it'd be like going to a doctor and be like, oh, I'm going to see the best doctor I've ever been to in my life, and you've never even seen them yet.
Right.
You know, what if they're crappy?
So very important to note. I love that perspective. So then when you're talking about the process, so as a young child, you had maybe different experiences, but today you've perhaps honed them. What does it look like? If I could have one superpower today, it would be to get in the mind of Brittany Buckwalter and just see what it looks like, right? Because when you're talking about what maybe you wouldn't call it a superpower, an art, or whatever you call it, the gift, you like to call it an art, right?
I actually just call it an ability.
Ability,
I
okay.
feel like everybody has it.
Okay. So what does it look like when let's just take, for example, when we finished up our conversation after the Daily Muddy last week, and you're standing in a room with Aspen and I, and immediately you start asking questions, right, about something about a grandfather, and you're connecting the dots, and it's evident to myself and to Aspen that you're talking about one of us, and your guides, what you refer to them, they're giving you tips, or they're connecting something, or they're saying something. What does it look like in your head when you have people in a room that you're trying to connect?
So it doesn't look any different than if I were to tell you to picture your mom. Both of you picture your mom. Can you do it? Can you tell me what color her eyes are? You know, and it's not necessarily, it's actually pretty rare to get a full view of them,
Okay.
you know, vision of them. It's more thoughts, which is another reason why, like, so many of my students are like, the first thing they say to me is, am I making this shit up? I feel like I'm making this shit up.
You're just pulling it out of thin air.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And I said, yep, that's exactly what it feels like.
Yeah.
But when you don't know that person, and you know inside you that you don't know them, you know inside that you didn't go online or like try to research them, or, you know, like how you explained there was no way that there was anything written out there about whatever, about your grandma. When you know that and you do that over and over and over again, you eventually realize, okay, I just have to trust this process, and that's what I'm receiving. But it comes through so subtle. It is literally just like a thought, and then also visions. So sometimes, you know, if you replay a really sad moment in your life in your mind, you know where you're at, you remember what it smelled like, you remember what it was about, all of those things. And that's what I am seeing when it plays cinematically. Other times, especially when I'm like communicating with people who didn't speak English, they'll show me like visions, like pictures of certain things. And then other times it's just, like I said, just a straight thought. But it's important to understand that just like we as humans have 5 senses, so do we as psychic mediums. We have 5 senses, and they're called the clairs. So there's clairaudence, which is the ability to hear, and that is my strongest ability. It's almost like they're whispering in my ear. There's clairvoyance, which a lot of people use as an interchangeable term for psychics and mediums, but clairvoyance just means clear seeing. So I can see a vision of your grandmother, and I keep seeing like these lines right here. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if she had those or not, but I see them and they stick out to me. So that's clairvoyance. There's clairgustance, which is the ability to taste. That was the very first time I knew I was a medium. I went to a mediumship event reluctantly because I didn't have anybody I wanted to talk to. And I sat in the back with a good friend of mine, and the lady right next to me, you could just tell, man, she was just hoping so bad that, somebody would come through for her. And I started tasting grape jelly. And I looked at my girlfriend, and I'm like, do you smell grapes or grape jelly? She's like, no. And I just kept saying, I feel like I am eating one of those little things of grape jelly that you get at a restaurant. And the lady next to me loses her mind, and she's like, my husband just died, and we literally buried him with packets of grape jelly. He was known for stealing them, and he would take as many as he could. And she said he put it on everything he ever ate.
Wow.
And when she said that to me, in that moment, it was like the whole room went, ooh. Because at that moment, I knew I was psychic, but I didn't have any interest or even understand what mediumship was. But it was that subtle. It was just a taste.
Wow.
And so then there's clairalience, which is the ability to smell. It's extremely common. I bet all of you have experienced this, where you just smell like smoke out of nowhere, or a men's cologne or something like that. And so, like, if somebody died in a fire, how they'll tell me is I'll smell a burning fire, that type of thing. And then there's clairsentience, which is just clear knowing. I don't know why I know, but I know. And I like to call that women's intuition, because we just have that.
Yeah.
Like, we're just born with it.
Absolutely.
So those clairs are really, really important to understand. And that is, I use those just like you use your senses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. That explains a lot. So, in talking about psychic ability and mediumship, can you explain kind of the difference?
Yeah. Okay. So a lot of people do think that psychic is the same thing as a medium, and a medium is the same thing as psychic, but it couldn't be further from the truth. If you're called a psychic medium, it's because you are both psychic and mediumistic. Psychic is innate intuition. Like, your intuition is extremely sensitive. You're able to pick up on all kinds of things, and you're able to usually pick up on things that are going to happen in the future, or what is the best way to go about doing things. And then mediumship is your ability to connect with spirit energy. And that's like a whole nother level. And you can be a psychic without having the ability to see spirit, without being a medium. But you cannot be a medium without having that, super firm psychic foundation.
Really?
Yeah.
So every medium can tell.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it's like that next level. The whole reason that you have that first level, you got really good at that. And then the next level was, now I can literally pick up on things that people can't see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. And it's always people who've passed over that come to you. Is that right?
Yeah. The living come to me too.
Yeah.
But
I mean, as far as like, so.
Like in your visions, like
that's actually a good question.
Yeah,
I didn't mean to be such a smart ass.
No, you're fine.
Now I know.
My kind of people. So no, yeah. So
you.
when you're getting visions, and let's talk about like kind of the difference between the psychic ability. So, do you have people who've crossed over helping you establish looking to the future of people, right?
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Are they helping you to tell that?
Yeah. Yes.
Psychic, right? Does
okay.
that make sense?
So a lot of people, no, 100%.
Okay.
And I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
But that did make me think of something else that I wanted to hit on too. When you have Alzheimer's or you are in a coma, a medium can connect with that energy the exact same way. And there are tons of books out there about, people who, which that's the only like silver lining to Alzheimer's is that you're able to go between two worlds.
Yeah.
But so mediums are used quite often to talk to someone who's in a coma. Do you want to stay? Do you want us to give you longer? Do you not? That type of thing. And then same with Alzheimer's. So to say that the way that I said that, no, you are absolutely right. They're not all just dead. But then talking about guides, that's completely different. Often people have heard of them as your guardian angels, right? Mm-hmm. So we were all given a team. Because life's hard. And, we need this spiritual guidance down here, because the whole point of coming down here is for our soul's evolution, so that we can ascend, so that we can be, better, selfless, more Christ-like, or, whatever you're if you want to say Christ, you don't have to say Christ, whatever.
Yeah.
I do. But, the whole point is to be more Christ-like. And so we're given this beautiful team of guides. And I think we talked about this last time, but I was like, some people have like a whole team and other people only have one. And you can usually tell.
You can tell. Yeah. That's hilarious to me. I told my mom that. She was like, that's amazing.
Yeah. So I have a huge team, and in the beginning, and it's an ever-changing team too. Like, it's not always
another
just
one of my
the
questions.
exact same guide. You know, they might bring in Rosie to help me with my love life. They might bring in Gwen to help me with my spirituality. And so,
Do they have names?
Well,
and
that's
distinct personalities.
That's the thing. When
Okay.
you are human, we crave. We crave that. To
Identities.
us, we have to have that avatar, because to be communicating with something we can't see and you know, we can't talk to, we can't introduce ourselves to, is just completely bizarre. So what we do is we create these avatars in our mind for this spirit, and I find it funny. Their humor is just like ours here, and so sometimes I'll be like, Rosie, no, you don't like that. It's just like you work with them and you figure out how it's going to work. But once it takes a really, really long time to be able to connect and identify who your guides are. And some people most people go their entire life with never even knowing who they are. But either way, we should all be thankful for them.
Yeah, for your guides, even if
they-
you only have one.
They
Yeah, which, you know, sometimes I like to think, you know, when I'm making bad decisions, I'm like, it must be my guide. My guides have flown away, or however, you know.
I only have
yeah.
one.
Yeah, well, sometimes.
No, that's not true.
I was
No,
going to say,
but
no, I feel like you have
It
lots.
is a very intimate process to connect with your guides. And people, you know, every once in a while, probably like 10 times a year, I'll connect with somebody else's guide, you know, and it's usually the guide is like, can I say a bad word? It's like, this bitch is not listening.
Yeah.
we need you to tell her, because we cannot get it through her thick skull. But for the most part, they don't get in the way of anything else. And free will, that's like such an important thing. You've got this beautiful team of guides that, you know, 95% of us don't even use. But if you understand how free will works, free will is the most respected law across all dimensions, across all planes. So if you don't ask them, help me with this situation, tell me how to do this, help this pain heal, they can't. They can't do it. But you have this team, so use them.
Yeah. Interesting. I think just listening to you talk about it is probably what opened me up the most, because hearing someone so intelligent talking about it in such a way that's so, it's captivating. I mean, it really is. You know, we all hear about, we have these senses that we probably don't use, you know, and I don't know if it's scientific fact or not that we don't use a lot of our brain, or we don't use a lot of our senses.
It is a scientific fact.
Well, I think it's talked about a lot. I'm not a scientist, so I don't know for sure, but just hearing someone talk about the way we can use things. And then I think once you hear someone talk about it, if you start to recognize those things, maybe that's what you're talking about. Everybody has the ability. You just have to recognize it.
Yep.
Right? Which is so
And be
cool.
open to it.
And be open to it, which, of course, to circle back, I don't think I was when you first came in. And then afterwards, it wasn't like proof. It was just like, I definitely need to talk to her more. So,
yeah.
And then moving on to the next part. So you talk about the guides, you talked about the identity, you talk about the process, how, you know, the clairs come in and it could be a mixture of different things to help you connect with the afterlife, or to create that psychic connection. Any of these situations, have they ever proven challenging as far as ethics or bad news? Or, I mean, because you told me a couple things, you know, after our first meeting that
We're uncomfortable.
It hit me to the core, you know? So, but I have a personality that I'm like, I can digest that and use it to move forward with, right? I'm sure a lot of people use it as, maybe they use it to not make certain decisions or to do things differently, and they kind of end up manifesting something that
Exactly.
you know, right? So how do
Exactly.
ethics come into play when you're reading or you're connecting this mediumship ability? How do you
hit that right on the nose on the nail on the nose.
We know what you're saying, girlfriend.
I feel like I'm the only one drinking.
No,
Okay.
cheers. Yeah, we're
Cheers.
yeah.
So, that is, manifestation is such an incredibly powerful tool. I actually teach classes on it. I'm so, I'm so invested in manifestation. But you are 100% correct in saying, what if you tell somebody this is going to happen and then they manifest it? And so there's this really fine line that psychic mediums walk. And I believe that that line that you walk, your morals and ethics and what I'm going to share and what I'm not, and how is this going to affect this person, and what are they going to use it for good, or are they going to, use it to ruin their lives?
Right.
I truly believe that the level of connectivity that I have with spirit and with the universe, with guides, psychically and mediumistically, is so strong, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but is so strong because I am so aware and careful of what I say.
Yeah.
And I have seen so many psychic mediums who say things like, just really bizarre, unethical things, and it just, it hurts my heart. So I have developed over the years, I've always been very particular about how I talk, the things that I say and the things that I do. But at the same time, I'm known as the unfiltered medium for a reason, right?
Yeah.
So I've really got this balance beam thing down at this point. But I've learned how to approach uncomfortable subjects very, very basically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
On the surface.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So if I'm in a crowd and I'm bringing through, there's a woman in there, and this happens quite often, who had an abortion. And she has struggled with that abortion for the last 15 years of her life. And let's say her dad's coming through, and her dad wants to let her know that that was okay. Instead of saying an abortion, I'm immediately just going to say miscarriage.
Yeah.
I'm never going to call it that, and she's going to know.
Yeah.
Without having to out herself, she's going to understand. When it comes to me seeing people dying relatively soon, I always tell people that is between you and God. Death is between you and God. That has nothing to do with me. Does that mean that I don't know when people are going to die? Totally false. I do.
Yeah.
But it's extremely uncomfortable.
Do you tell them ever?
No. It's extremely uncomfortable, and it messes with the tapestry of everybody's lives.
Yeah.
And I don't always know it either. Like, it's pretty rare when it happens, but when they show it to me, I know that the reason that they're giving me this information is because they want me to warn the person that I am talking to spend time with that other person, or to mend the tear in the family.
So
or
do
to
you do that?
Yeah.
You say?
So what I'll just say is, I think that you should really spend some time with so-and-so.
Yeah.
Or your guides are begging me to get you to mend this issue.
Yeah.
Those types of
or
things.
you may not have a lot of time, or there are ways to go about it that
Absolutely.
are tactfully, but not so brazen, right?
Yeah.
Like yeah. Which I think is very important, and you did touch on it, but death is between the person and God.
That's what I believe.
Yeah, which I think that's very, I think that's really profound, because I think a lot of people would use that to
make some
as
money.
Proof. Well, no,
to be like, hey, do you want to know when you're going to die?
But I mean, you could use it unethically, but also they could use it as proof if they were going to be so forthcoming about it, but that, they would use it to prove. Anyway.
I think that we get our information from a source that is so divine and so beautifully and eloquently put together for the betterment of humanity, that they won't actually allow people who, once they start using this as a party trick and, essentially using it to where, even though they're not aware that it's hurting people, it ends up hurting people.
Yeah.
They pull those reins. And so from that point on, those people are just full of shit.
Yeah.
And I'm just being honest with you.
Sure.
That is how I feel.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. So I have tons of questions. I don't want to keep dominating, but
okay, so I'll ask one. I've already revealed I was very skeptical but open-minded, but again skeptical. Any inaccuracies that you've ever had to deal with and then have to turn around and explain later? Or
that's a brilliant question. I don't think so.
You mentioned the 80-20, which may...
Yeah, that is... I love that.
Yeah.
So that might play into this. But then, after so many years, I'm getting those emails. So the 80-20 is about 80% of what a good medium or psychic tells you will make sense. And then about 20% of it will make sense later. In other words, what you're telling me right now isn't something that I can remember, or, I don't know, I'm going to have to ask my mom, or, whatever that might be. But a good medium should give you about 80% yeses, 20% I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. And I didn't understand that concept when I first started. And so that was really, really hard on my ego and my pride. And it was very, very confusing. And so when they say you have to trust the process, they're not lying. But what happened over time was, and that's why I developed the 80-20, is I would be getting these emails that would say, oh my God,
I get it now.
Yeah. And so with a decade of getting those, now it's to the point where, I'm pretty confident that it's going to make sense. And it might be years. It might be years before it makes sense. My personal psychic and my dear, dear friend, when I first met her, she gave me a reading, and I said, I just want to know if I'm going to get a divorce. And she was so eloquent in the way that she did that. She said, I am not comfortable telling you that, but I'll let you pull a card, and from her tarot deck. And so I pulled one, and it said yes. Well, almost 4 years passed, and I didn't get a divorce. And in my mind, even though I was working on my ability and becoming, a psychic and believed in the science, I always went back to that, and it messed with me because I'm like, I looked to her, and this hasn't happened yet. And then, of course, 4 years later, it did. So
now, you don't think that you manifested that after speaking to her, that it was like, oh, this is going to happen, so the changes that I'm making, do you think any of that came into play?
I think that the whole reason that it ended up going 4 years after was because I was trying to fight it. Yeah. Okay. I was like, okay, it said yes, so I'm going to, we're going to do this. Yeah. So
interesting.
One more question about the inaccuracies, because so the big one that I researched you a little bit. That's what I do for my guests, because I cannot read by any means. And one of the things I saw was your contribution, I think it was to a podcast, the Lost Boys podcast.
Yes.
This is me learning also about the Lost Boys. I hadn't heard about them before, the Lost Boys of Hannibal. Are you familiar with that? Mm-hmm. And you had said that you knew where they were.
Yes.
And then it turned out they did some digging or something. So do you think this is coming, and they weren't found, but do you think something is going to come later with that, or how does that work?
No, I haven't, this is a
sorry to put you on the spot
subject, but I actually haven't spoken about what I truly believe happened there. But I am going to tell you that I believe that they were there.
Like where you thought that.
Mm-hmm. There was another,
and then moved possibly.
Well, there was
some bigger things at play.
There was another psychic medium that worked with me on that, and she gave them specifics of things that they would find, clothing items that they would find of these boys, and they found those exact same things exactly where I told them these boys would be. Without uncovering things from people that I know were involved or around or near the dig, I can tell you that there was human remains found there.
Really?
Yes, but the media doesn't know that. We were told that it was an Indian woman.
Okay.
Or just Indian, I don't remember. But then we also have to look at the fact that the owner of Continental Cement, the owners there, were not happy that they were not happy. Immediately after they found out about this, which I kind of found very interesting, immediately after this book was released, they began to put up no trespassing signs everywhere. They put up, cameras are monitoring you and all of this stuff. And so I found that very interesting. The other thing I found interesting was the fact that the dig was so highly hush-hush.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah,
I thought that they put this out there.
There was actually two of them. There was one, and then there was the one that you heard about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you have these, the connections from your guides, so that's generally with people in the room, right? Or people that you're around? Or can it be... let me get to the base of my question. So can you tell, let's say the state of the world tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Can you see bigger things, or is it primarily tied to a person?
Oh, yeah. No. With so with COVID-19, I started seeing the number 19 and getting like the worst chest pains ever. And I actually posted that on my page years before, I think a year, maybe 2 years before COVID-19 was even a thing. Like,
Really?
at least I didn't know about it at
Yeah.
that point in time. I hadn't heard about it. It was in 2017 or 2018 that I had posted that. And I was terrified about it. But I had I didn't know the specifics.
Yeah,
I didn't
the
know.
connection.
Honestly, I'll be honest with you. I thought that it was going to be like a mass shooting or something, because
Okay.
I saw it killing so many people. So in my mind, I'm thinking that's what
Yeah.
this has to be. So I put out like all these, like, don't do anything on Juneteenth. Don't do this.
Yeah,
Because I
right.
was just like trying to keep my people safe. And then I read for a girl one time in Colombia, and I saw something pretty horrific happening surrounding a trip that she had coming up to Las Vegas. And it turned out that it was, I begged her not to go, and she was supposed to go to Mandela Bay. Yeah. So, yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, and then there was also a prediction of the Madden 19 shootings. There was prediction of, I feel like I could just sit here for a while and tell you, but
Really?
yeah.
So it's not just tied to
No,
people.
but that's the most frustrating thing, is that you're like, give me more specifics.
can't hone it.
Why
Yeah.
am I getting this if I can't save this person?
Sure.
Or it's frustrating. But that's what keeps us humble. That's how they remind us that we're human.
Right. So then, when you're talking about how to hone it and develop it, so you talked about teaching classes. You're doing an event tomorrow. Do you think all of these events, all of these opportunities to help other people? So before we got started, you said the main goal is healing.
Yeah.
Right? Which I find very, of course, we all need some healing, but you do that through developing your own skills and then teaching others and having events. So let's talk about your classes and your event, and let's plug how people can get to know you a little bit better and get involved in Brittany Buckwalter as the uncensored medium.
Okay, so I do teach psychic and mediumship classes. It's a 10 people or less private mentorship program, and I'm actually getting ready to launch the 2.0 program, so it's like digging deeper, making this your profession. But I teach both of those. It's called the oh my gosh, it's escaping me right now. We literally talked about this before we came in here. I'm like, I'm scared I'm going to forget something.
No, you're good. So let's talk about the event tonight.
It's called Metaphysical Masters.
Metaphysical Masters, okay.
A Metaphysical Masters program, yeah.
And that's when you have other people wanting to hone their skills
Yep.
as a medium or psychic, okay?
My guides made it very clear to me that I was supposed to spread the light, which in the very beginning felt a little, like intimidating, but more than that, I was like, wait, I'm supposed to teach other people how to do what I do. Am I going to be able to make money doing this? Because I'm just terrified. Like, what? How am I going to keep food on my table?
Yeah.
And they were like, no, we will provide for you. Just spread the light.
Yeah.
And so,
So is this your only job?
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
awesome.
I do this full time.
You have a hell of a following, and
Yeah.
I didn't know that when I first spoke to you. So let's quickly touch on the event tomorrow, the masquerade costume medium event. Everyone's welcome. It's at the State Theater.
Yep.
Get your tickets and show up. That's going to be...
Can they get their tickets at the door if they don't order them?
They can. It's just like $5 more. So
perfect.
Yeah.
And
So
then let's mention your Facebook page or your Insta, because I think a lot of people would love. You're not only a medium, but you're hilarious on there. So your personality is something that drew me to you, of course. But then your skill, your ability is something that's captivating as well. So Facebook page,
yeah. Brittany Buckwalter, the uncensored medium.
perfect. And you do private events as well. Okay.
Yep. It's kind of there. Yeah.
But they're booked
Are you
out.
pretty booked?
Yeah, they're booked out.
We're like in 2025.
Which is awesome.
real?
Yeah. I mean, it speaks volumes. Again, I'm not saying that this may not be for everyone, but I do think that if you're interested in exploring more, you should definitely get a hold of Brittany, learn a little bit more, broaden your horizons. Let's see if we can get our own guides to show up for us, right? Because I think they're there if
Yep.
if we're listening to Brittany.
They wanna
Now,
help.
last question: do they come in stronger when you're drinking?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, cheers to that then.
Cheers.
Thank you so
Cheers.
much, Brittany.
Thank
Thank you, Brittany.
Cheers.